Hi there, Vinny from Project Frugal. I'm going to tell you a story that cost me a couple of $1,000, taught me some valuable lessons, and taught me not to procrastinate ever again. You don't want to miss this? Check it out. The story begins back in May 2025 when we were talking to some friends and they were telling us their house was getting painted. Well, this sounded intriguing. They were getting their outside of their house painted. Sounds good. Now, Denise had been on my case for quite a while to get the house painted. I don't want to annoy her. She must be obeyed, and that's the truth. According to our friends, they got a referral from friends of theirs, and they said these painters were doing a great job, so we were interested at that point. And I was definitely interested because I wanted to see my wife smile like this. And not only that, because I'd procrastinated for so long to paint the house, I thought, well, we've got the money to pay for it. Maybe I can weasel out of it. Let's see what they can say and come up with. We gave them a call. They turned up a couple of days later. Sounded like he knew what he was talking about paint and spray paint and, I don't know, masking tape and all that sort of stuff. Sounded good, sounded impressive. Plus, he was wearing a pair of overalls that had paint all over them. Who wouldn't be impressed? We weren't necessarily going to get the windows painted because we were going to replace those with double glazing, so maybe that would reduce the cost. How much was the cost? Well, he said he could do it for $8,000 within a couple of weeks. No questions asked. And as part of this $8,000, he was also going to replace a couple of boards, fix something else by the carport. We'll show you some photos of that a bit later on. And he reckoned he could get it done within a couple of weeks' time frame. All good, so we made a verbal agreement right there and then, and we just waited. Now I had big dreams of turning the house from this into something like this. Absolutely beautiful, magnificent, and all for $8,000. Marvellous. A couple of days later, he turns up with his mate, and his mate water blasts the house while he's pottering around doing something, who knows what, but they're not actually doing any prep. I don't know what they're doing. So one water blast later, which takes maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then they leave and they say, well, we'll be back very soon, but they don't actually give any sort of time frame of when they'll be back. Not long after the water blasting, the painter rings up and asking for a couple of $1,000 to help him get back to Hamilton where he comes from. Yeah, maybe buy some presents or something like that, something along those lines, plus pay for some materials, etc. The job was $8,000, but we also had to supply the paint. So I sort of agreed, but I did make some mistakes here. We hadn't got anything down in writing. Dumb move. Anyway, we pay the $2,000 deposit. He's very happy. That's all good. Unfortunately, it rains a lot in Wellington, so the next few weeks it is raining solidly and we don't hear anything from the painter whatsoever. And then magically, out of the blue, he turns up with a couple of his boys, and literally these were boys. Yep, they're off to start some work, and they've got a little tub of, you call it wood filler, in the back of his SUV. His fat wife is sitting in the SUV, probably scrolling through Facebook for the 4 or 5 hours that they were there, and they begin to apply some wood filler to the house. And you can hear the occasional bit of scraping going on. There's no power tools involved. A little bit of scraping, a little bit of wood filler, and they do mask up a few windows with some plastic sheeting and some masking tape. But I'd have to say it wasn't a great job. And unfortunately, there is wood filler all over the decks. Not a great job. In fact, let's go and have a look at some of that work. Here's some of their quality plastering, which is pretty rough and ready. I've got to say, it's going to need a bit of sanding there. At least they've done something with it. And as you can see on this deck here, there's a swag of plaster that's just been pretty much dumped on the ground. Dumped all over the deck. Not ideal. And this bit here is probably the worst, which they never got round to. We're going to have to get rid of this current plant here. You've seen our first ever video on the channel. That's what it is. Some of the wood here is dodgy as. So these windows are going to come out. All of this is just flaking away. It's not ideal at all. So these are going to get replaced.
so we don't have to worry about really fixing up the windows too much.
Yeah, not ideal. So on the 24th of June 2025, I actually go and see their workmanship at the friend's house to see what they've done. And to my shock and horror, well, it is not exactly ideal. There's paint all over the driveway, literally tins of paint all over the driveway. There's paint on the driveway. There's bits that they've missed. Well, it's just pretty much a bit of a disaster, to be honest. There's overspray everywhere. They even managed to get some overspray on a couple of their cars. Little paint spots everywhere. Not good. They painted over one internal door. Well, it was the back door, and they just literally slapped paint over the actual mechanism of the door. Not a great job at all. What are we going to do? Well, there's only one thing to do. We've had a change of heart. The job won't be going ahead due to personal circumstances. And those personal circumstances being there is no way on earth that they're getting one drop of paint on my house. No way. So I send the painter a text message and leave him a voicemail, and crickets. And in late July, the painter finally turns up with his fat wife in the car, scrolling through Facebook once again. He's still got his little tub of wood filler. He does bring a few sheets of very thin wood, which we're going to replace into the carport, which was part of the job, but it's I don't know where he got it from because it's not cut to size or anything like that. Maybe he found it somewhere, I don't know. However, he turns up and I tell him, hey, didn't you get my text message or my voicemail? And apparently not, because apparently his wife dropped his phone in some water or something. He's had a change of number and his old phone is gone. At this point, we tell him, well, we've had a change of circumstances. You're no longer required for the job. Can we have half our money back, perhaps? Because in all reality, they've spent, 4 hours water blasting maximum, and the two boys, maybe 5 hours each, doing some wood filling and a little bit of scraping and putting up some plastic sheet and a little bit of masking tape. So by my estimates, at $60 an hour, talking about 14 hours of work maximum at $60 an hour, plus maybe $160 worth of wood filler and scraping and whatever else, but highly unlikely. $1,000, we've paid $2,000. Maybe we could get some money back, but he says, no, sorry, I'm a contractor and I don't really handle the money, even though it went straight into his bank account. Anyway, we're better off done without this particular painter and his minions. So really, it's up to me to start the painting myself, because I guesstimate we've paid $2,000. We've got another hypothetical $6,000 if he was going to do the job. If it takes me 60 hours to do the job, let's call it 60 hours, I'm going to charge myself $100 an hour, so I'll kind of make my money back and I'll be working for $100 an hour. And even though it's tedious and boring and it's not really my thing, I'll save some money. And let's go and check out some of my progress that I have actually made, finally.
Yeah, here we go. This is what we've done so far. I've undercoated all of this front bit here, sanded it back as much as possible, within reason. I've painted up the top up here. It still needs another coat. It's a bit rough. It's okay. So some of these boards here, yeah, they've seen better days, alright. Don't know how we're going to fix that. Some of the wood is rotten down the bottom, so might have to pull the whole thing out, or we might be able to patch it up. Now the only thing we did get out of this, apart from a bit of plaster, some plastic on the windows, is this delightful step ladder. So if anyone wants to buy a step ladder for, well, let's say, I don't know, $2,000, let me know.
Now, despite the fact that this is going to take me quite a long time to finish this job, I'm in no real rush. I will get it done. We've made a good start on the front, as you can see. It's going to get done. And I really have learnt some valuable lessons. It's cost me a couple of $1,000s and quite a bit of time, to be honest, as well. I'm going to have to clean the decks, patch up any of their stuff that they've already done, sand all the wood filler off, actually put some more wood filler on, sand back the boards as best as I can. Not going to go right back to the wood, but I'm going to do a decent enough job, and it's going to be better than what they would have supplied. I can pretty much guarantee that. So a great lesson that I've learnt. Yeah, go and review the work before you get any lick of paint or anything done. Make sure you got a written contract. Yeah, take it from there. So I hope this tale of woe and despair has been useful in your journey to paint your house. If you're going to go down that route or get any contractor in, make sure you got it in writing. Yep, make sure you get some reviews and you actually go and see the workmanship, and you'll be much better off at the end of the day. So thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll catch you later. See ya.